I'm with Sam, and she's played Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and it looks absolutely amazing. The symbiote powers in particular look like a lot of fun.
They are really fun, and they're quite OP, but they are all on timers. So there's one that's like you kind of turn into like a sea urchin and all these spikes come out, and like you can upgrade that so you get more spikes. There's another one that uses like octopusy arms to grab loads of enemies and then like slam them on the ground, and they're all really big, so they make like a really nice impact when you're like, you know, doing all your combos and kicking and punching and stuff. And they're a really nice way of like, there seems to be a lot more enemies this time around to kind of compensate for the fact that you can take out like 10 enemies at once. So it's like, it's much more chaotic, at least with the combat that I've experienced, even in the kind of side quests and things like that. So it's, they're dramatic, let's say that.
And keeping with the comic accurate storyline as well, Peter's got angry.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, again, I'm not sure like how he gets his symbiote powers or what the backstory was like. Then the bit I played, he already had those, so it was kind of like, oh, what's going on here? But it's quite interesting watching his friends react. They're like, what's you know, Peter seems a bit odd, and like obviously a lot of the game is about Peter's relationship with his best friend Harry, and like at one point like Peter Parker like uses one of the symbiote powers and he's like, damn, that feels good.
There are also stealth missions are back, but they look way more improved from previous games.
Yeah, I think like it's really lent into the kind of Batman Arkham kind of history, in that like there are some missions where you play as Miles' Spider-Bot again, which is really good. Like they seem much more kind of in depth, and you have much more freedom as to how you kind of want to use the various tools that the little spider guy has. But then actually when you're playing as Miles, you can make your own web tightropes, I guess. Like it feels like you are much more of a Spider-Man in that sense, because like you could be watching down below and see where people are kind of patrolling and be like, oh, actually I need to get over there so I can drop down on these people. And by the time I'd finished, the whole roof was covered in these web lines, because I was just like, well, I need to go over there, now this person's going over there.
If any of the enemies looked up, they go, I think Spider-Man's here.
Yeah, I feel like I wasn't that like, all they needed to do was look up and be like, ooh.
What looks amazing is some of the big boss fights again, which we've got a lizard boss fight that you did, and it's multi-staged, it's huge, it's impactful, it's complex. Like, what was that?
It was really hard. I'm just going to put it out there. If anyone's played the original 2, you can use, when you see someone glowing red, you can use circle to dodge out the way. You can still do that, but there's also a new parry mechanic, so it kind of flashes yellow and you have to press L1 to kind of quickly parry. It takes a lot of getting used to, because your symbiote powers as Peter and your electric-based powers as Miles are both also mapped to L1 plus the face buttons, because obviously when you're playing as Miles as well, there's a lot of electricity flying around as well, and sometimes it's quite easy to miss that parry prompt. And those attacks really hit you. They're the new heavy attacks in the game, so they both basically come from either these boss battles or just heavy enemies that you find in the world that can like really smash your health if you're not watching. But yeah, this lizard boss fight kind of made up the climax of our preview event. The whole thing had been leading up to the doctor who has turned to the lizard has got what they think is the antidote for what's wrong with Harry. So they've been tracking him down. Obviously, this lizard guy is becoming more lizardy with every passing moment. And it's, a 3-stage battle. You had to constantly keep moving and like keep the pace up. And yeah, they definitely delved into the drama of these boss battles, that the original games are famed for. And there's still elements of chase in there as well. And yeah, it's really good.
So between the two characters as well, how does it work with like, say, leveling up and like, say, gadgets? Because you've got symbiote powers, which are very different to Miles's ones, and everybody has different. And Peter can now fly.
So like, because they're kind of bringing all of the areas of New York and Manhattan together, and because of that, there's a lot more like open areas of like water or parkland or like lots of low buildings. So they had to kind of introduce a mechanic that made traversal feel much more fun. You'll be swinging instead of like, I'm losing momentum, and there's not a kind of a skyscraper nearby and you can kind of fly, and then there's these wind tunnels that you can kind of use, or like you can use to push yourself up into the air as well. So I didn't think they could make moving around in Spider-Man feel better, but somehow they have. Both Spider-Men level up as you play as them, so I guess you don't need to kind of use each one equally to get the same skill points, but you can use those ability points to either upgrade or unlock abilities for both of them that they share, or you can level them up separately, obviously, to like dial into the symbiote powers or Miles's like electric. But then also there's the gadgets which seem to be shared as far as I could tell. But yeah, there's a lot going on.
But it's nice that they're not locking you into I guarantee you that there are going to be story points where I'm sorry, but you're going to have to play one. But there's a nice where you're like, no, I'm going to go find all the objectives as Miles and get some XP with that and the side quests and stuff. It's like, okay, great.
You're going to find your preferences, aren't you? About like, oh, I want to use this person in this situation, or for this side mission, it feels like it'll be easier to have. The symbiote powers, at least you're not like, oh, I've used Peter way too much, so he's like really overpowered, and I haven't used Miles much. It seems like it's much more like you're free to kind of switch around, and you're not going to be penalised for that by the sounds of it. So it's good.
One area that Miles is definitely seems to be winning from the footage that we've got over Peter is clothes and customization, because Miles is wearing some amazing looking sneakers, and Peter's got some options as well, but you got to see a bunch of other like outfits that they have, and there's a lot of customization going on there as well.
Oh my god, yeah. I think Brian Intihar, the creative director or game director, said there are 65 outfits to unlock, but there's also styles now, and there's over 200 of them, which kind of change the color scheme and like tweaks to each of the outfits. So there's a lot.
As long as they have the cat backpack.
Oh my god, I know.
I don't care.
I should have asked them that. I just like, well, he's gonna be in there.
How can it not be?
Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man.
I want the one with the little window, the little bubble window. Yeah. So just generally, like, I haven't actually asked you this, but I get the feeling that people could assume from the way that you're talking about it so enthusiastically, you enjoy playing it. It's good.
Yeah, it's good, and it definitely. I mean, it looks absolutely stunning, as you'd hope from these games. Yeah. I just can't wait to kind of like see what the idle animations are, because like in the open world you can switch between the two characters. I want to see what they get up to when you're not playing as them. Like, what was interesting, they did say that they won't, when you switch them, they won't be just in like their normal clothes or like at school. They'll always be like ready to swing. So that was quite interesting. Like,
so when's it out?
It's out October 20th. Exclusively on PS5. And yeah, it is really fun. Like, if you're a fan of Marvel Spider-Man 1 or Miles Morales, like, it is the bringing together of all of this stuff, and I'm loving the interplay, especially like through the dialogue of their relationship as well. They're trying to learning how to be best friends as well, but there's also MJ, and actually, do you know what is really interesting is that all of their family and friends know that they're Spider-Man.
Okay.
It's quite rare, like, especially in the movies and other games. It's like there's no secret identity here for these characters and their family. Like, Miles' mum knows that he's Spider-Man, and like MJ and his friends know, and Aunt May obviously did know, and it's interesting seeing them kind of deal with that fact that their friends and family know that they are living this double life. Being able to talk about that feels like a really interesting dynamic, and obviously like the stories in these games are always really well written and well crafted, so I'm as much as excited as that kind of stuff as I am how good this game feels to play and how good the combat feels, even if I am shit at the parrying. But maybe that's just me.
I'm sure you could get an upgrade that makes it easier.
Yeah. Auto parry.
Anyway, looking forward to the cat backpack.
Yeah.